Alibaba's shares dropped almost 10% today, and a lot of you guys are wondering what exactly is happening, and that's exactly what we're going to be covering in this video. So smash that like button and subscribe if you're new. You're watching More Money. Let's get it. All right, guys, so welcome to this episode of the Q&A series where some of the Patreons will ask questions and I'll make a video answering it. So here you guys can see that Alibaba's share price closed down almost 9% today, down to less than $115 per share. And I thought that was absolutely crazy. So the first thing I thought was, did they report earnings before market? And that's not actually what happened at all. As you can see here, Alibaba made an SEC filing where it looks like Citigroup's analysts, Elisa Yap, wrote that it may be signaling that Softbank is planning to sell its stake in Alibaba. And so that looks to be what contributed to the share price decline early in the day. And when we move on to the next piece of the article here, we can see that we're getting a little bit of history here because it looks like Softbank actually invested in Alibaba well before the company's initial public offering, which means that a large portion of their holdings weren't registered at ADSs. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't actually know exactly what the rules are to register or not register a share as an ADS, but it looks like, yeah, this is a situation where Softbank's shares were not registered as ADSs. Softbank owns approximately 25% of the outstanding shares of Alibaba. So that's a huge ownership there. And so the main question that I run into is why exactly would Softbank be looking to offload that many shares, especially at such a low for Alibaba? And we can see that here with this next slide, where it looks like Softbank's is under pressure from its investors to prop up its share price. I don't think that's the best reason to sell an equity investment, but sometimes that does happen. Looks like they do have an activist investor, which you can get a little bit more detail on in this next slide here, where it looks like a hedge fund activist fund named Elliott Management is saying that the only short-term catalyst for SoftBank's share price is a capital return program. And that stems from the fact that the Japanese technology group's slumping share price has created deep frustration among their shareholders, as reported in this article. And it looks like SoftBank shares actually peaked in mid-March of 2021, I believe that is, and are now down 42% since then. And to be honest, with respect to technology companies, join the club. A lot of them are really down this year. And so I was really interested in what you guys thought about all of this and the share prices declining today as much as it did. And to be honest, the people that watch this channel are much smarter than I am. And so I wanted to get an idea of what was sort of the sentiment amongst the Alibaba shareholders. And so Imran, he just came out flat out and said that it looks like SoftBank has a liquidity crisis. And this isn't actually share dilution, which I don't think I thought it was share dilution. I think early on, maybe some people did think it was going to be share dilution, but he made a really good point, Imran did, when he said that they'll probably find a private buyer for those shares. So I forgot what that's called. I think it's like a bulk trade, but I've seen that happen over at my time when I was in investment banking. I used to sit near the trading floor, and that I would see that kind of stuff go on. Now, Mirko's response was actually the most liked response here, and he says that SoftBank hasn't been his go-to example of a super investor. He doesn't really care, and he went YOLO and he bought some more shares today, and I actually agree with that. I don't think we should be taking buy or sell advice from anyone, to be honest, on whether they sell or not. I mean, we've all lived through the fact that Manish Pabrai sold his shares. We're still in it because the story is the story, irrespective of who owns it. And Forake makes a really good point because he's mentioning here that SoftBank was an early backer of Alibaba. And the reason for much of their early success is perhaps why people are nervous that this might mean that one of the original investors are pulling out of the company, so they may have lost faith. This could be similar to insider trading and seeing a founder sell some shares. And I think his conclusion is correct. Ultimately, it doesn't matter if SoftBank liquidated some of their holdings. He's still holding. And he also provided some additional context here that SoftBank funded the development of Taobao and was the second investor ever after Goldman in the 90s. So without the context of the activist investor over at SoftBank, I would almost agree with you here. But because I have that context, I would say that I don't think it's SoftBank losing faith. I think it's more that they need the capital to return it to their shareholders. And I think that's what's happening. Obviously, I don't know. I'm speculating, but this is a really good comment. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So Amir wrote that some folks might be worried that the liquidation of Softbank's shares may push the price further down given the Softbank's large shareholdership. But he personally thinks that it might be a block transfer of ownership. That was a term that I was looking for before, a block transfer. I think it could be a block transfer or a couple of block transfers. There might be some open market trading, but why would you put so much into the open market and just push the shares down and get yourself a lower return? Why not wait? And so I think I agree with Amir here. I think it's going to be more of a block transfer, if anything. And funny enough, I have two cats that are battling it out with the same comment on the channel. I got Spider Cat saying that the fundamentals haven't changed. And then Davy Cat is also saying that the fundamentals haven't changed. And I agree with both of my cats. Now, huge prize to the first cat that replies to this video with the word meow. I'll give you a free membership to the Patreon for a month. So yeah, so I actually agree with both of you guys. I obviously don't think that the fundamentals have changed, irrespective of who owns it, and so it doesn't really change my opinion on the name or not. And that's really it for the comments, guys. And irrespective of the fact that the stock is down almost 10%, the people on this channel seem to be very undeterred, so that's really good. Also, guys, Alibaba is going to release anytime now, and so if you haven't done so already, I made a Q3 earnings preview, which you should absolutely look at, and you can get to that video right here.